Recording started. Okay, Saskia Bosman. It's my first interview since 30 years. My first interview was in Australia with an Australian agent that's a police agent that had some strange things going on near his house with power lines. And yeah, that was what's. But I was very young in that area, so I didn't do much with it. But now you're my second interview. So since 30 years. So now,
thank you.
you're welcome. Now, talk about yourself. What do you do? How do you become so much interested in all kinds of subjects like the pineal gland? Yeah, tell me something about you.
Yeah, as a kid, I always was very interested in nature, but not only the physical nature, but also the subtle energetic world, because I could perceive subtle energies of people and also of nature, also nature beings, etc. And when I started to go to school, it went in more or less into the background, and also during high school and university. And I decided to study biology. So I studied biology in Utrecht, in the middle of the Netherlands, and I did my PhD in Amsterdam. And so I became a biologist. And as soon as I was finished with my studies, then all these subtle energetic abilities that I have, all these extrasensory abilities, or however you want to call it, started to come to the foreground again. And and I started to look for the links with science. And the pineal gland plays an important role in that. I started to become interested in the pineal gland in my high school years when I was about 15, 16 years old. And I was already very interested in the brain and the functioning of the human brain. And I was already looking for links between the functioning of the brain and our inner world. So the inner worlds that I can experience during meditation and during dreams, for example. And all of a sudden, there was a spiritual magazine in the Netherlands that published 2 articles about the pineal gland. And these articles were written by uh, a professor um, who founded the Brain Research Institute in Amsterdam. And the first article was purely about the physiological functions and the anatomy and everything of the pineal gland and how it is connected to the brain. It's a very small gland, something like half a centimeter across in the center of our brain, 1/5 of an inch across, and this
Yeah.
gland, little gland.
I saw a nice picture of that one in your other interview. It was one photograph of it of a living pineal gland. You told there.
Yes, if you like, I can share this photograph on the whole internet. There is only one photograph that shows a living human pineal gland, and I'll quickly look it up. And it is a photograph that was made in the in 1971. Here I should show the photographer too.
Share your screen.
Yeah. Here it is, but it's sorry, it took some time to.
No problem. Oh, that's wow.
Here it is. It's a human pineal gland.
And it's only half a centimeter, you told me?
Yeah. So this gland is only, well, to be more exact, about 4 by 7 millimeter.
Wow.
And then I'm talking about the gland tissue, which is this. It looks like a pine cone, that's why it is called a pineal gland. And this is one of the legs with which is connected to the brainstem. The brainstem is actually the part of the brain that is connected as kind of extension of the spinal cord, and all the parts of the brains, like the left brain, the right brain, and also the cerebellum,
Yeah.
are connected to the
And what I understood is
spinal
blood flow
cord.
is important. It goes also a lot of blood through it.
Yes, right. So the pineal gland is a very red organ. It is because it has many micro blood vessels, and uh, it is the part of the brain that has the biggest density in blood vessels, and the kidneys are the organs with the highest density of blood vessels in the body, and the second with the organ with the second highest density of blood vessels in the body is the pineal gland.
Wow.
And the pineal gland is connected to the brainstem with a left and a right leg. You see one leg here, the other one is in the shadow. And the pineal gland is hollow. It has a branched cavity inside, and the legs are hollow, and the pineal gland is connected to the third brain ventricle, which is the most central brain ventricle, but connected to all the other brain ventricles and to the spinal canal, and also the space between the durace kind of skins around the brain and the spinal cord, and all these spaces are filled with the cerebrospinal liquid, which pulses through our body all the time. And so also the pineal gland is filled with cerebrospinal liquid.
So it
And
has very big importance for the
right,
brain functions and body.
yes, and the pineal gland cells, they are neurons and they also produce hormones. And because of how the pineal gland is built and connected, the pineal gland cells can send their home hormones quickly in big quantities and quickly into the blood
Bloodstream. Yeah.
circulation and also into the cerebrospinal liquid, so that the hormones can quickly reach other parts of the brain, because the pineal gland hormones, they influence our consciousness. The pineal gland
Yeah.
hormones, they bring our brain into different states of consciousness, and I don't see consciousness as a result of the biochemistry of the brain. uh, I I look a bit different at consciousness than most of the scientists. I see the human being as a spiritual being, and our consciousness is not a product of the brain, but it is actually in the field, in the quantum field. And the quantum field is everywhere, outside us and inside us, in between our atoms and inside the atoms, which are very hollow structures. So, yes, it's also in the brain, but it's not dependent on the brain. When
Mm.
you look at very serious studies on near-death experiences, for example, like the study like the study that was done in the Netherlands by Professor Somehow I'm forgetting all the names now. I have to look for his book.
Doctor.
Here, Pim van Lommel. He is
Okay.
a Dutch cardiologist, and he did a study on near-death experiences because his patients were telling about it, and first he thought it was hallucinations, and when he noticed that all the stories of the people were
Similar.
almost the same, there were many
Yeah.
similarities between the near-death stories that patients told him, so he decided to start a study on it. And
I've learned that our body is more of a vehicle than the actual. Yeah, that is a vehicle for our soul, or what you call it, or our energy body. Then it's very important to transport in this world, but that is only a vehicle, and for our consciousness and for our energy. That's what I learned.
that's how I see it too. And Pim van Lommel even goes further. He says that actually our body, and especially our brain, is a receiver of consciousness. And consciousness is in the field, so really our essential being is in the field. And we have our body as a vehicle to be able to live in the physical world and to
Yep.
learn from the
Yep.
physical world. And in this receiver system that our body is, I see the pineal gland as a very central thing. And when you look at the pineal gland in a technical way, you will notice that inside the pineal gland cells there are little crystals. And part of the crystals is sensitive to electrical fields, and the other part of the crystals is sensitive to magnetic fields. And there are different crystallized minerals in the pineal gland cells, and they are crystallized by the cells themselves. And the minerals come from our food, and the cells crystallize them, and they grow in concentric layers, forming spheres of nanocrystals. And these nanocrystals together are sensitive to electromagnetic fields. And it goes even further because I studied these crystals deeply in a literature study that I did around the year 2000. And this for the foundation of environmental consciousness that existed in the Netherlands at that moment. And one of the things that I discovered was that these little crystals, these nanocrystals in the pineal gland, have the same properties. And I was especially looking at optical properties that you also find in the crystals, but these crystals are of different minerals
Do you have a picture of those crystals?
that are used by quantum physicists. Yes,
Ah,
I have a picture somewhere.
now we have to change it to English too, that part.
Yeah, I may have an English presentation somewhere.
That's for next time.
Because I have done this also via Zoom for an English group. Where the heck is it? It might be here as well. International pineal gland.
Here we read what's important as food for your pineal gland. The
A lecture, here it is.
Ah, great.
Do you see it when I share it?
Yeah, I see it. I see the pineal gland, our cosmic antenna.
Yeah. Right. So here is
Great.
pineal gland again. That's a smaller picture, but with some explanation here.
Yeah.
It's a single structure while all the other brain structures are paired. It is a hormone gland as well as a neuronal structure. It weighs 50 to 150 milligram. and the size is only 5 by 7 millimeters. And I'll quickly look up the crystals. They should be here as well. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
here they are.
Nice.
Because it's
Wow.
nanocrystals, you need an electron microscope to see them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
However,
Very
the one
small.
here in the upper left is a very big crystal. It has a length of about 10 micrometer, but that's an exception. Normally, the crystals are the size that you see in its magnification here. These little grains on the side, these are the real nanocrystals. So normally you only have nanocrystals in the pineal gland, and they grow in concentric layers into spheres. And the spheres clump together, and they are connected to the protein fibers of the cytoskeleton. So the cell skeleton, and that is actually a kind of spatial protein network that maintains the shape of the cell, and some cells also use it to move, like white blood cells. They need
Yeah.
to be able to move.
And what kind of materials are the crystals made of?
Yes, the materials are calcite, hydroxyapatite, and these two are sensitive to electrical fields, and magnetite. And you find these three minerals also in the earth. And but in the earth, the calcite and hydroxyapatite are not piezoelectric, so they are not sensitive to electric fields. But the pineal gland cells, they make different forms of crystals, so different kinds of crystals of the same mineral that are piezoelectric.
And that has to do with the shape of the crystals, maybe, or the.
Yes, different crystal shapes.
Ah.
These biological crystal shapes, they are piezoelectric. It means that they are sensitive to electric fields and also to sound. And even the magnetite crystals get a different shape in a living cell, different from the shape that they get in the earth. And but in the earth, as well as in our pineal gland cells, the magnetite crystals are sensitive to magnetic fields. And the magnetite crystals are also present in other places of the brain, and also in some bones of our skull. And the hydroxyapatite and calcite crystals are also the crystals that are in our bones and teeth.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, sometimes.
And what's important to protect or to prevent? Well, of course, we read about the pineal gland getting calcified, or
Yes.
how to protect
Right.
that.
Sometimes the growth of these crystals goes out of hand, and then the pineal gland can calcify. Half of the pineal gland, or even the whole pineal gland. Here's a slide about it. And for a long time, scientists have thought that the calcification of the pineal gland is a result of aging. But more recently, several groups of scientists here have looked at the pineal glands again from the corpses of people of 0 to 100 years old, and they concluded that the amount of calcification in the pineal gland, the extent of calcification, has nothing to do with
With
age,
age. Yeah.
but it has everything to do what we take in. And there are indications in scientific research that aluminum salts that you find in a lot of deodorants, and fluorides that you find in a lot of toothpastes, and in some countries also in the drinking water, can induce calcification of the pineal gland, and there are even indications that aluminum salts can induce Alzheimer, dementia, and well, and it's also possible to see the extent of calcification in the pineal glands of people that are still alive. Scientists can do this by CT scan, which is a scanning form of X-ray photography.
Hmm.
And they also looked at the functioning of people with a highly calcified pineal gland. And it turns out that these people suffer from sleeplessness and as a result of that tiredness during the day, and also a lack of directional sense. And this has also been observed in homing pigeons whose
So
pineal glands can also calcify.
yeah,
But I have to say something out of caution. If you know about yourself that you have a bad directional sense, it doesn't automatically mean that your pineal gland is calcified, because directional sense depends on a lot of brain functions, and
yeah.
especially the extent of cooperation between the left and the right brain.
For me, it's if I get distracted too much, then I also get my directions wrong. Or if I with my mind shift somewhere else, with work or something like that, then I also sometimes forget the right direction. I say, oh, I had to go to there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so that looks
yeah. Well, that's
normal.
something that everybody has, let's say.
Yeah.
But here we are talking about people who always have a bad directional sense. And but actually you can decalcify the pineal gland as long as not the whole pineal gland is calcified. But here there is a picture of a human pineal gland
Oh.
in a cross section from the top to the bottom of the gland, so from the top to the legs of the gland. The legs are not here anymore, but only the pineal gland. The top is calcified, it looks totally white, even a little bit blue. And the bottom is very deep red, and that's healthy tissue. And here you can see uh, how much uh, how much blood has been circulating through this pineal gland that creates this deep red color.
Mm.
And but even this pineal gland can still be decalcified, and the tissue can regenerate, because it's a few years ago scientists discovered that even in the brain we have stem cells that can form new neurons. Um, the most inexpensive way to do it is to squeeze a little bit of organic lemon juice into your daily drinking water. And for adult people, it is healthy to drink 1.5 to 2 liters water a day. And the more expensive version
Green
uh,
algae.
is using green algae with broken cell walls, because our stomach juices are not strong enough to break down the cell walls. So you have to buy green algae with broken cell walls.
Hmm.
And this is something that you can do something like 2 times a year. You do that for a week or two, three, and you slowly build up the number of green algae pills or powder that you take, and at the end of these 2 or 3 weeks, you diminish the amount of green algae that you take, because otherwise it will have a too strong effect on your intestines.
Yeah,
And
I understand that.
yeah,
And of course, you have also to do with alcoholic and acidic blood. Uh, that's
yeah,
where.
I think there will be a difference. I don't know exactly what yet, but yes, I think there will be a difference in reaction of the body depending on whether the body is acid or alkalic.
Yeah.
And there are also several prevention measures that you can take, like the fluoride. You can in health food stores and health pharmacies, you can find toothpaste without fluoride. And I've used toothpaste without fluoride for decades. And then my dentist discovered that in some places
Damage to your
the
teeth.
the enamel layer of my teeth became thinner.
Yeah, the protection layer of your teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, the protection layer. So he said, well, then at least once a week use toothpaste with fluoride. And I started doing that. So 1 day with fluoride and 6 days without fluoride. And it turned out that the protection layer on my teeth came back. And also, well, and if you live in a country where there's fluoride in the water, there's an easy trick to get rid of it. If you want to drink a glass of water out of your tap, just take 2 glasses, fill one, and throw the water to the other glass with a very long, so that's over a long distance. And they do it a few times, and then you get rid of the fluoride.
So the fluoride escapes
Yes,
as a gas.
I tried it recently. I was in a country where there was fluoride in the water, and when I drank it directly from the tap, there was this disgusting taste of fluoride. And after I did this a few times, throwing the water from one glass to the other over a distance, and I started drinking the water, that whole fluoride taste was gone.
Yeah, maybe it helped also to activate the water, because if you move or stir your water, then you get a vortex which helps to activate water to make it more vitalized. Yeah, vitalized water.
Yes, then the water becomes like water in that comes from a mountain spring.
Yeah.
And
So that's another story with Victor Sauberger. He discovered that part, and also that Japanese Dr. Masuo Emoto, I think he's called.
yes.
And he discovered a lot about water. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, very interesting. But we are going to talk about water later.
Yeah.
But coming back to fluoride and aluminum,
Yeah.
aluminum is present as an aluminum salt in many deodorants, and even the deodorant crystal that is sold as a very natural product consists of an aluminum salt. So it's better not to use that in health food stores and health pharmacies. They sell they sell deodorants that are based on essential oils, certain essential oils. In the regular deodorants, it is the aluminum that suppresses the sweating.
Sweating, yeah.
The perspiration, the sweating, and but certain essential oils work at least as good as the aluminum salt. So actually, it's the aluminum ions doing it, but there are certain essential oils that don't contain aluminum that also suppress the sweating very well. And so you can use those deodorants as an alternative.
But I also have learned is that if you, depends on what you eat, also defines what smell your perspiration has.
Yeah, that's very true. Yes, yeah. And it also has to do with bacterial growth, and probably that's also caused by what you eat. Bacteria that start to the bacteria
To grow, yeah,
start to
yeah.
expand enormously on the sweating areas of your body. They can also produce a lot of smell, and aluminum also is also, of course, in aluminum pots and in aluminum
Yeah,
foil.
foil. Yeah.
And because the liquid in food is always a little bit acid, um, even from those metals, uh, um, aluminum is dissolved in those liquids as aluminum ions. So it's better also better to avoid aluminum cooking pots, aluminum
Mm.
pans, where the inner surface is bare aluminum. If there are
Yeah.
thick coatings over it, it's okay, but not the bare aluminum inside, because then the aluminum dissolves in the liquid that's in the food. Also, aluminum foil that a lot of people use to pack their
Wrap food, yeah, or cook the food in, yeah.
food. But even sandwiches still contain a lot of water, and it's a little bit acid. So please don't use aluminum for that. And also tin cans. So there's a lot of canned food, and
Yeah.
in the
That's
shops.
why I prefer glass bottles or glass
Yeah,
containers.
me too. If I want to buy
Yeah.
cooked beans, for example, I don't buy them in a can, but I buy them in a glass
And you
jar.
have all those bags with foods, but it also contains aluminum or something like that.
Oh yes, these
This,
plastic bags with an aluminum
yeah,
layer inside.
yeah,
But they say that on top of this aluminum layer is a
there's
plastic.
plastic. Yeah,
So it's a kind of foil, one side plastic, the other side aluminum. But well, even then, because these polymer molecules of the plastic, if you would magnify it in an electron microscope, you see that even in between those molecules there are spaces through which an aluminum atom, aluminum ion, could easily escape. I
and
think,
also plastic will come into your food also.
yeah,
So the
I
plastic
don't
molecules will come to in the food also. But it's
yeah,
also known.
yes, I don't have the proof for what I just said, but I suspect that that even the plastic coating on this aluminum layer is still leaky.
Yeah.
But people don't realize the danger of aluminum.
No.
That's still very unknown in society. People just produce it. People still pack their fruit in aluminum foil, and loads of plastic bags for chips, etc., are produced for nuts, etc., with this aluminum plastic inside. And uh, so,
And also in the past also aluminum was also used how you call it, in medicines, in making of medicines.
yes, and also in vaccinations, there is little bits of aluminum that are used to really kick the immune system into activity. And also mercury is sometimes used for that. And yeah, but I think there is still too little awareness in society about the danger of aluminum, and also at the same time, a lot more research should be done into that. But the little research that there already is on the effect of aluminum on the body is alarming enough
Yeah.
to
I've seen studies about the medicine, including aluminum, that had negative effect on the body, and also on the minds of people. So there is enough, yeah, there is enough research about it. So, but it's yeah, you see it is, or it's going to the background, or it's not used, or I don't know, it's not used
yes,
for other
yeah,
studies.
but that's right. You really have to dig for it to find this
Yeah.
research. So it's really in the background, unfortunately. Yes.
There are I've learned a lot. I found more search engines than Google to find materials that are, yeah, let's say, on the bottom of information.
Yes, yes. Yes, and well, and in Eastern countries, the scientists they say and also publish articles about it that meditation, yoga, and toning with the voice, so making
Ah,
sounds with the voice, train the pineal gland and keep it healthy, and also keep the amount of crystals in the pineal gland at a healthy level.
and my screen went in to screensaver mode because I didn't move my mouse.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
So I
So
just
move
missed
mouse
a few
every
seconds.
every now and again.
Yeah, so I have to move it. Yeah, because yeah, just sitting here and listening, and yeah, then forget to move the mouse. But yeah, so you told about yoga and toning, and dus with the voice, you said.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's here the bottom line here on this.
Is the toning that what they do with yoga? Is that with the om and that sort of
Yes, it can be
voice?
mantras, it can be just sounds that come up, like ah, oh, etc. But there are certain sounds that really resonate inside the head, and these are actually sounds like the N of Mary, the N of note,
Okay,
the NG like at the end of the word sing. And when you do these tones for a while, like you feel that it's especially resonating inside the head, and you can also use them to stimulate the pineal gland.
okay, that's good to know. And also in your other interview, had about tapping your head or to activate or to improve. What's about that? This
Yes,
tapping.
there is actually you can tap in this way, like this.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a very specific exercise from Qigong that you can use to balance and to calm your pineal gland. Actually, you calm the liquids around your pineal gland, and the pineal gland uh, is uh, is actually protruding into a blood sinus, which is part of a vein in the brain. So it's surrounded by blood and it's filled with blood and cerebrospinal liquid. And also the brain tissue itself is very gel-like. It consists of cell, of course, but it's very, very soft tissue. And also the brain ventricles are filled with cerebrospinal liquid. So actually, it's very liquid inside the head, and I can show the exercise. It is like
Oh yes,
this.
please.
You actually press your ears closed with your
Okay,
palms,
can you
and
make your screen
then
bigger? Can
uh,
you stop sharing the screen and then you can show it? Yeah,
and then
it's easier that way.
then actually you find the back on the back of the head, the lower edge of your skull, where
Mm-hmm.
you put your index fingers, and over your index fingers you put your middle fingers, and then you snap your middle
Oh,
finger against the
against your back.
top of your neck,
Yeah.
and
So
because you are pressing your ears with your palms, and all the other fingers are loose from the head, so these your little finger, your ring finger, and your thumb, they don't touch the head because otherwise they muffle the sound. And then
okay,
when you do this exercise, you hear these very deep thumps inside your head, and
okay.
this exercise is called a heavenly drum. So it's the heavenly drum that you hear. And you
Ah,
do that 24 times, preferably with.
yes, a click.
Wait, I said something wrong. It's your middle fingers that you put on the back edge of your skull,
Yeah, because you do it like this.
fingers over it, and you snap
So
the index
tick.
fingers
Yeah,
against the head.
yeah.
It goes like this.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen this method if you had tinnitus. That is one of the methods to get rid of tinnitus. This sound in your head.
Yes, and I happened to find a post this morning where no, it was actually on YouTube. A small ad that I found when I was playing that video that you sent about the effect of music on DNA. But there was a little ad in the beginning where they also showed it that this exercise can also be used to improve hearing. When people start to lose their hearing, they can use this exercise.
Okay. So it has multiple functions.
Yes, I think it has multiple functions, yes. But I know it as an exercise to calm and to balance the pineal gland. And there's another exercise also in the neck that you can use to stimulate the pineal gland to perform its functions. And at daytime, that is producing the waking hormone serotonin, so that you are awake during the day. And
Mhm.
as soon as it's dark, the pineal gland should produce
Melatonin.
the sleeping hormone melatonin so that you can
Yeah.
fall asleep. And the pineal gland is connected to our eyes, so it can see whether it is light or dark outside. And and depending on which time of the day you do this little exercise, it's at daytime you stimulate the pineal gland to produce serotonin. At nighttime you stimulate the pineal gland to produce the sleep hormone melatonin. And I'll show how it works. A bit difficult with this long hair, but what you do is here in your neck in the middle,
Yeah.
visible here in the middle,
Yeah.
it is.
Around your spine or around your.
Yeah, there is this thick muscle in the
Yeah.
center of the neck, and then you put your fingers on either side of this muscle.
Yeah.
You move up with your thumbs until you start to touch the skull, and then you kind of hook your thumbs under the skull. Not really. Don't press too hard. You shouldn't cause pain to yourself, but then you start massaging. And what you massage are actually two ganglions, so two uh,
Veins.
groups of neurons that are under the muscles,
Okay.
because there are still muscles in between. And
Yeah.
these two groups of neurons, these two ganglia, they have a direct nerve connection with the pineal gland.
Wow.
So what you do is you cause an electrical stimulation from these ganglia to the pineal gland, uh, uh, so that the pineal gland is stimulated to do its work.
Oh, that's great if you have long days and get tired.
Uh, if it gets tired, I don't think the pineal gland really gets tired. You just do it for 1 minute, and that's enough to stimulate the pineal gland, and it doesn't get tired because of it. So
No, but if you get as yeah
the pineal
as
gland doesn't
person
get
tired.
tired, but the pineal gland can get lazy. And for example, if you take if you buy melatonin all the time and take it to fall asleep more easily, many people do that. Then the pineal gland becomes lazy and it doesn't produce its own melatonin anymore. Of course, it has the result that you get better sleep, but
Of course.
when you decide to stop taking melatonin after weeks or months or whatever, or years or whatever, then you really get into problems because the pineal gland
Gets
needs
lazy.
4 to 8 weeks to
Ooh, that's long.
to to
Adjust.
to arrive at its full production of melatonin.
Wow,
So the pineal
that's
gland
long.
takes a long time to start its own production again and to get it to a normal level again. And during those 4 to 8 weeks, you have sleep problems again, and you start to bind melatonin again, and that's how people become dependent on melatonin.
Yeah. Yeah, I've a very long time, no, long time ago, I used also melatonin. Of course, yeah, I've learned that helps. But yeah, indeed, like other stuff, it makes your body lazy. If you take vitamins instead of food, then your stomach gets lazy, and now yeah, it can go on and on.
Yes,
Uh,
right. Yeah, yeah, and you see this effect in many different organs in the body.
yeah, yeah, the natural way is better than the artificial way.
Yes,
Now
better
let's
to
talk
use
about
if
maybe
natural
going
way
maybe
possible.
continue. I think we've now covered the important parts of the pineal gland, I think. Should we continue with water? What about water?
Yeah, that's great. And of course, about the pineal gland, there is a lot more information because melatonin, just before the dream phase and also in deep meditation, is converted into.
Oh yeah, that's I think that the
Very,
part should be covered too. You had that you can share that screen again with the what the pineal gland produces. I think that's important too,
yeah,
and also what foods you need to improve your pineal gland production.
yeah, that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, good.
Let's see. This looks
Uh,
like the English one.
yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, so here you see that we take the amino acid tryptophan from the food, and at daytime it's converted by the pineal gland cells into serotonin, and when it gets dark into melatonin. Serotonin and melatonin are also produced by the intestines, but scientific research has proven that most of the serotonin and melatonin in the blood are from the pineal gland, a little bit from the intestines. And melatonin uh, gets converted into first in pinolin, then 5-MeO-DMT, that's 5-methoxy dimethyltryptamine, and finally into DMT, dimethyltryptamine. And what are the effects of these psychedelic hormones or consciousness expanding hormones? So the first wave that we get through our circulation is pinolin. Pinolin causes cell repair because it stimulates cell division. So in sleep, we can repair our tissues, but also in
Wow.
deep meditation, because these hormones they don't only appear during sleep but also during deep meditation. Under the influence of pinolin, people experience lucid dreams, so dreams in which you are aware that you dream, and then you can actually direct these dreams and be creative with your dreams. That's also used for psychotherapy sometimes. Near-death experience without nearly dying, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and also other clair perceptions. And you get insights about the cosmos and yourself, leading to psychological integration. And 5-MeO-DMT causes a clarified consciousness. It's also called Akashan, so after the Akashic records, and it emits light. All these molecules emit light, but the light, the visible light, is produced by the 5-MeO-DMT Akashan. It's when people are producing 5-MeO-DMT and you put them in the functional MRI scanner, you'll see that 40% more of the cerebral cortex is activated. And under the influence of 5-MeO-DMT, people experience telepathy, out-of-body experiences in a spatial hologram like reality. And at the moment that the 5-MeO-DMT is inhibited by another substance in the body temporarily, deep trance states you fall into a kind of nothing, into a kind of void, until that substance, until the body runs out of that substance, and then the effect of 5-MeO-DMT continues. And DMT results in a clarified perception. The experience becomes very visual, and vision even expands a little bit into the infrared and a little bit into the
Wow.
ultraviolet. And maybe you know the experience after a long deep meditation, like half an hour of deep meditation, and you open your eyes and you see all the colors more intensely. And that's a result of this little bit of ultraviolet that the eyes start to
Wow.
see. And that's only temporarily, but temporarily you see like a bee. A bee also sees a little bit of ultraviolet, so that all the flowers light up and the bee easily finds the flowers. And so that's how we see them temporarily after a meditation. And under the influence of DMT, you experience a different and interactive reality, complete with images and sounds, and there is also an 8 hertz oscillation in the whole body. And where do we know this 8 hertz from? The Schumann
Yeah, the
resonance,
Schumann resonance. Yeah,
which
I,
is
I discovered the Schumann resonance, I think, half a year ago, and then I thought, wow, wow, wow. I thought, wow, it's amazing how much we don't know. And
yeah, and this,
Schumann resonance is one of them.
right, and this 8 hertz oscillation also stimulates our self repair ability, our self healing ability, and also when a healer is giving someone an energy healing, the 8 hertz is the healer is in a very relaxed state and giving the healing. The 8 hertz is in the whole body of the healer, and after a while, it's also in the whole body of the healee.
Now, what I learned, of course, I followed therapeutic touch. And what I learned is, but yeah, you have to follow a certain procedure, is that you have to first go into the now, a very difficult concept, and before you help someone. So you have to not really focus, but you have to be clear yourself of other thoughts and other distractions. And then you have to feel yourself, and then you start with your treatment. Yeah, that's
Right.
what I learned with therapeutic touch.
Yeah, yes, and that's true for most forms of healing. Also for a little bit more physical forms like craniosacral therapy, that's the same procedure. So yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
And so actually, these hormones, the molecules look very much like, and sometimes are really the same as the molecules that you find in ayahuasca, where the molecule is DMT, in certain mushrooms and in certain herbs and cactuses. And but actually, you actually
And also in lilies, of course,
only
I read something about was it lilies or something else? What special water plants that have it also? I don't know if
certain
it's
water
called
plants.
lilies.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's called lilies, but it was very famous at Egypt with the Egyptians, with the Egyptian pharaohs.
the blue lotus.
Ah, lotus. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, yeah, which is also at the beginning of the creation story. But I remember reading that they also found certain substances in the blue lotus that have a psychedelic effect. But actually, we don't need to take these external things because our pineal gland is our own drug laboratory. When we learn to stimulate and to use the pineal gland, we can we can produce our own psychedelics at will.
I'd rather have that than external, because then you have more control on it.
Yes, you have more control on it. And also when you take these substances regularly from outside, so from plants and mushrooms, etc., Um, then when you do this
You
something
get
like
you get
weekly
dependent.
or bi-weekly,
Yeah,
then you become dependent on them
yeah,
because also in that sense the pineal gland can become lazy,
yeah.
and when you stop taking substances from outside, then the pineal gland again needs 4 to 8 weeks to start its own
That's
production.
long. Yeah. Oh well.
So it's more efficient actually to train your pineal gland to
And
produce.
cheaper.
And cheaper, yes, that's also true. Yes, yeah, and
Okay. What didn't we cover about the pineal gland? I think we covered most of it. I think.
yes, yes. We covered the most important things, and there are also several health aspects like avoiding electrosmog, etc.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's true.
Actually, I think it's not the intention of the interview to give a whole lecture or a whole workshop. For to hear more about the pineal gland and everything that they can do
Yeah,
to use the pineal gland for their health, for promoting their health, and for expanding consciousness. Um, that I have the lecture in English. I have the whole 3 day workshop in English. So lectures and workshops can be organized by Zoom, but I can also come to your country, of course.
yeah. That sounds good. Maybe at the end of the video, then share the links and how people can get in touch to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can put the links under the video so that people can click on them and look at the English pages on my
Yeah,
website,
sounds like a good idea.
inspiring.nl, and and they can contact me, and we can see what we can organize.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Okay, then I think the last subject is depending on the time. Yeah, I think the last subject will be water. I think.
Okay, so I'll stop the sharing of pineal gland slides.
Now, at least in the last year, I learned a lot about water. Everything we don't know about water. For people people think about water. Just water. It just flows there. That's it. But then you learn, oh, there's more phases in water. There's you have the solid state, the fluid state, the gas state, and then you learn there's a gel state. Then gel state, and then you learn about other people that research water. About French, I think a professor that DNA gets copied from one glass to another. Yeah, and
Yeah,
another one that can make ice crystals, and then
right,
she
that
that
is true.
emotions has influenced it, and also and I think he's Dutch or English, doctor or professor that discovered the gel part of the water that can eliminate contagions from water, and and he did also a TEDx lecture about it.
Right. Yes, well, that water can get the structure of water containing information about DNA, for example, can be copied from one glass to the other. That was discovered by Luc Montagnier, who built
Yeah,
upon the work of Jacques Benveniste in France. And Masaru Emoto, he discovered that depending on what kind of intention you put in the water, uh, even by sticking a written word on a glass of water, and if it is love, the word is love, you get beautiful ice crystals. And when the words are I hate you, then you get very ugly ice crystals. And he has published several books about that. And the scientists who discovered the fourth state of water, so the gel state, um, is Gerald Pollack from
yeah,
the USA,
correct. Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I have I've met Luc Montagnier once, Jacques Benveniste also, and
Wow.
I've met Gerald Pollack.
Wow.
Yeah, and these guys they were doing, and also I also met Masago Emoto.
Wow.
And these guys, they were and are doing very interesting research, and I learned a lot about water. That water actually can contain information because these molecules are a kind of little batteries. They have an electrical negative and electrical positive side, and they can attract each other. They can repel each other, and in this way they can create beautiful geometric shapes inside liquid water. And along surfaces, it creates these gel states, like these hexagonal circles of water molecules that Gerald Pollack discovered. And in this way, DNA can, water can contain information and can also transmit information. And recently, I was involved in a project. As a small group of people, we went to the source of the River Rhine, very high in the mountains in Switzerland. Was a lot of climbing, but okay.
I can imagine.
And we had little bottles of water with us from sources, from springs all over the world. And we put the intention of love, gratitude, and joy into these water samples that we had, and also into the Rhine source itself. And we poured these water samples into the very beginning of the River Rhine. So there's a little lake, which is the source. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the lake, you see the water starts flowing, and it starts running off the mountain. And that's where we have put these water samples, and as an extra also again these beautiful intentions. And this is actually based on the work of Emoto. He also went to lakes and rivers, seas, and so on, with groups of people to pray, to meditate, to put beautiful intentions into the water. Yeah. And the River Rhine spreads out also with side rivers over a large area of Europe, and so this intention is now spreading over Europe, and it has been measured once that when you put something in the beginning of the Rhine River, then it takes 31 days to arrive in the North Sea, and most of the time, what you have put into the river will float around in the Boden Sea, which is at the border of Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, and before it finds the rest of the Rhine River and continues its path to the North Sea. And at the same time that we did it, it was on the 25th of July, which is also the day out of time in the Mayan calendar. Other people were at other places along the Rhine doing the same. And there was even someone in Hoek of Holland at the North Sea, where the Rhine is flowing into the sea. And so this was a very beautiful event, and you can feel the positive energy around it. It was really, really amazing to experience. It was a very magical time where we had beautiful experiences. And near the source of the Rhine, high in the Alps, in the Swiss Alps, there are also 3 other sources of 3 other important European rivers. One of it is the Rhone, and the other 2, I don't know the names, so I would have to look it up on Google Maps. But actually, I asked the source of the Rhine to pass this beautiful energy on to the other 3 sources, so that actually the other 3 great rivers of Europe are informed. with these beautiful intentions of love, gratitude, and joy. So it's now flowing through all of Europe. And I think that's a good thing to do. It sounds maybe a little bit a little bit fake, this
Uh,
it is a real influence. You see it in the photographs that Emoto made. That a good intention really influences the water in a positive way, which you see in the beauty of these ice crystals. And we also know it from several kinds of remedies that are used in in natural medicine, holistic medicines, like homeopathic
homeopathic.
medicine, but
Um,
also water bottles of water that are informed with an intention or that are informed with certain energies from higher dimensions, that we access in these different states of consciousness. That are facilitated by these pineal gland hormones. People can do that. They can go to other layers of reality, meet beautiful beings there, and put their energy and their intention into water, and then it's given as a remedy, or the intention to, well, just to mention something to heal the nervous system, for example. Just intentions in the water, and that's called energy medicine.
I think Dr. Emoto did also something with Hado water or Hado. I think I read something about Hado. He made special water to, I think, sort of energized water or healing water he made, I think.
Yeah, I think Hado is the name for the method that he uses to put an intention into the water,
Okay.
but especially a healing intention.
Yeah. So, but that's another thing. What do you think about primary water sources? Because I found in a few channels that apparently some parts of the world water comes directly out of the earth, and they call primary sources of primary water.
Yes, well, that's actually also happening in the Swiss Alps. There, the water comes directly out of the earth. There is a lake. I mean, the source of the Rhine. It shows as a lake, but deep. The water is coming from the bottom of the lake, and
Yeah,
a little bit of water is also coming from higher up in the mountains, like a small river that's flowing into the lake, but also the bottom of the lake itself is producing water, and it comes from deep inside the mountains. And in the earth, there is a lot of water. Uh, um, Something like last year or so, I read a scientific post, um, and that really changed the theory of how the Earth got oceans. It was always thought that the oceans were brought here by comets. Comets are
yeah,
kind of dirty snowballs, so lots of water with stones inside them.
true.
And
Yeah,
so the Earth got these stones, but also lots of water. But geologists found large amounts of water in the inside of the Earth, and probably this water also contributed largely to our oceans by just coming out of the Earth, so through sources, through springs everywhere, and it can be in the mountains, but it can also be on lower parts of the land.
I saw drilling videos of very deep drills. I think a Russian film was that. That they went to, I think, 11 kilometers or lower, and that the camera showed there was water spraying out of into the hole
Hmm.
during drilling. It was
Yeah, that's
amazing
quite
to see.
possible.
Spraying. It was not dripping, no, it was spraying because of the high pressures, of course. But you saw just water coming out.
Yeah, of course, in
Yes.
the inside of the Earth there are high pressures, so it's not so amazing that the water sprays out, and maybe even sprays out of the hole in the Earth's surface. There are very deep aquifers. There are aquifers right beneath the ground, but there are also very deep ones, and that's what scientists discovered. That there are huge aquifers, very deep, deep, deep in the Earth's crust, and maybe even under the Earth's crust. And so in the I don't know how deep, but they discovered there are oceans of water. The total volume is was something like several times, like 4 times or so, the volume of all our oceans that's still inside.
Wow, that's a lot of water. And also, I read about that water is an abiotic fluid that comes up, but also there are hydrogen sources. They found hydrogen sources within the Earth. So instead of generating from electricity, you can find it in sources in the Earth crust.
Yeah, so you mean the hydrogen gas is inside the Earth?
Hydrogen gas. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, but how deep is it? How?
I don't know. I just found a few articles about it, but don't know how deep it is. But they try now to, how you call it, use it as going to start drilling sites for those.
Yes, but there's also a danger in the drilling when you look at the drilling of earth gas in the north of our country, of the Netherlands, so in provinces like Groningen. These when the gas is still in the earth, so the CH4, the methane, when it's still inside the earth, it has pressure.
Yeah.
So the hole in which the gas is, it stays a hole of the same size. But when you take the gas out, the pressure is gone, and then the Earth's surface goes down. The hole collapses,
and get earthquakes. Yeah.
That causes earthquakes and damages the houses.
That will be a concern from those with the hydrogen pockets, of course.
Yes, so when you do this with hydrogen, of course, also hydrogen in a cavity inside the Earth has pressure, and when you empty that cavity, the cavity collapses with earthquakes as a consequence. So you really have to become careful with drilling things out of the Earth, and maybe it's better to in space there is also lots of water, and on our planet, in our atmosphere, in our oceans, lakes, etc., there is lots of water. So maybe it's less damaging for the Earth to create hydrogen out of water than
That's true.
to drill it up from the Earth.
Yeah, that's true. And getting more efficient ways to get hydrogen out of water. Instead of only electrolyzers, I've read articles about using resonance to get faster hydrogen out of water. But yeah, that's deep stuff.
It seems to be even possible with sound to.
I've seen videos about. And also at the Metaalkathedraal in Utrecht, I saw they use a sort of sonograph. When you put water in there and play a sound, then the water shows a pattern of that sound.
Yes.
They use light, and I think they use light, and if you use a sort of tone, then the water starts to shape patterns. So I think there are some videos about that too somewhere.
When you put a flat dish with water on top of a speaker, and you play a tone and you turn up the frequency, then the higher the frequency, the more complex the pattern.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is a circular symmetric pattern or a mandala, and it becomes more and more complex the higher the tone is. And that's very interesting. That's you see that sound can shape matter, and that was also shown in the video that you sent me. The video about the influence of music on DNA. And there's a small part where they show that too. That's the first one who who experimented with that, as far as I know, was the physician Hans Jenny in Switzerland. And no, before him there was also Chladni in Germany. And but Hans Jenny, he went a lot further. He also used gels, paste gels, and even magnetic paste that he subjected to sound. And he could even, had this magnetic stuff, it even took on the form of snails and other animals, and
Wow.
things like the human spine, and yeah, very interesting shapes. And it really makes you think. Like it looks like certain shapes have been created by sound, but there are also indications that shapes are created by magnetic fields and even by light, by
I,
photons
I
produced.
think there's a British biologist, I think, he about something about fields. Fluidic fields, I think it's called, or that plants are shaped by energy fields, or I don't know what the correct name is for it. But Sheldrake is called. Rupert
Yes,
Sheldrake is.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, I met him too, and
he's great too. Yeah,
yeah, and yeah, his work is very interesting. It's about the morphic fields.
yeah, Morphic fields. Yeah,
As a species invents something, and it could be a new organ, but it could also be a new behavior, then then somehow it's in the field, and then very quickly other individuals of the same species, even at other continents, also quickly develop this. And that's how he just simply and shortly said how he developed the theory of morphic fields.
yeah. And
Uh,
his colleagues didn't like it what he did, but he was banished from all kinds of books, scientific books, and also I think he got also banned on universities. I think because he
yeah,
lectured something that was not in the narrative of the I call it mainstream uh, scientific science, yeah, mainstream science.
yes, I know, yes, and
Yeah,
but it's brilliant work that he did, and I think now that we know about the quantum field and its properties,
yeah.
I think his theory fits in very well.
I think the quantum mechanics, that's all going will bind everything together of the theories anyway, and
Yeah, I
the
think as soon as a species invents something, then it's put into the quantum field and it's everywhere.
yeah,
And,
and fast also. It's
yeah,
instant.
our planet and maybe even everywhere in the universe.
Yeah,
Then members of the same species, or even species that are more or less similar to that species, can also quickly develop this new thing.
now in the parapsychology they call it global knowledge, or there's a global knowledge field. So that was I think 30 years ago they talked about that.
Uh,
So they already had an assumption, or they suspected something was more going on to transfer information.
right,
So
yes, the fields are not only energy fields but also information fields.
yeah, so yeah, it's uh, plenty of plenty of knowledge going around, and a lot of what we know now is ancient. It's that what it amazes me. It's not new what we learn now. It was 100 years ago already known, or 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, and also
Yeah,
in indigenous cultures, you find this knowledge. They don't have a scientific explanation, but they know that water contains information, that you can put information in a crystal, things like that. And
uh,
yeah,
yeah. Now I think a nice experiment for people to do at home to see how water works, how emotions the water works, is the experiment of Dr. Masura Emoto, that he I forget to move the mouse again. I think the experiment from Dr. Emoto is the rice experiment, that you take
yes.
2 or 3 bottles of rice. When
Yes.
you put the same amount of cooked rice in there, and
Yes.
then on one bottle you put, or glass, you put something nice, and on the second bottle something bad, and the third one you ignore. But you can start with 2. That's already good enough. And then you see, if you do it daily, I think within weeks you will see differences between the bottles.
Yeah, when you speak to the rice daily, yes.
Yeah,
And right, the jar with rice with the positive word or the positive intention stays good.
yeah,
The rice that is cursed daily, it becomes totally rotten, and the rice with which you do nothing, so the control rice, uh, just
gets
goes.
molded,
Yeah, it gets molded. It gets into a normal,
decay.
normal decay.
Yeah. But then also during that video the experience, or no, but that if the same happens with people, if you do the same with them. So if you ignore people, it has the same effect what happens on the rice, or similar.
Yeah, that has been proven extensively in the last century. Let's say the 40s, 50s, 60s, with school children. When you have a class of children that you really encourage and you are good, you can do it, etc., they achieve a lot. These children, and in another class where you say the children are you are dumb, you cannot do it, then they really get dumb, and and so they underachieve, and the other ones they overachieve, and that's these are horrible experiments, of course, but they have been done, and so
Yeah,
for a while, and it's a very unethical experiments, I think. But yeah, that proves that the same effects can also be reached on people.
yeah, on your own children or on your people around you. Yeah. So I think we can. Yeah, I think it's getting late. I think we can round it up. I think.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for this. Yeah, thank you for this interview. It was very nice to talk to you, and
Yeah, you're welcome.
thank you also for bringing in your knowledge. And so under the video there will be a link to my website,
Yeah,
especially to the English part. So my website in general, and I also include a link to the English part of my website. And if you think about organizing a lecture or workshop by online or with me coming to your country and giving the lecture or workshop live, then please be welcome to contact me.
yeah. No, that sounds good. Okay, I stopped the recording.